What's up, people? Welcome to another episode of I Am Negan, a TWD Universe podcast. My name is Adam Vale. I am an editor over at thekoalition.com. That's with a K. And tonight I'm joined by Editor-in-Chief Richard Bailey Jr. What's up, Rich?
What's up, Adam? What's up, listeners and viewers?
And Throwdown's own Carlos Romero. What's up, Carlos?
Yo. What's going on, everyone?
What's going on is you got us on this pre-show talk about A Nightmare Before Christmas. So I wanted to bring that up here just because we all had our own thoughts on it. But people go ahead and comment over on YouTube. Is that a Christmas movie or is that a Halloween movie? I say it's a Christmas movie because it's all about Jack discovering Christmas and wanting to be Santa. So to me, that's a Christmas movie. But Rich and Carlos, I think you guys felt it was Halloween, right?
I'm still not convinced either way. I can be persuaded for either argument. Halloween seems more logical just because of the aesthetic of the whole thing. But Adam's definition of what that movie was before the show started was sound. So I can accept being a Christmas movie as well.
Yeah, because the whole thing is they sing that this is Halloween. That's the argument. Like, but they say it's Halloween. Yeah, but that's just setting up the scene. It's that just let you know the environment, the town. That was Halloween Town. So they're singing a song. But then there's Christmas Town. And the whole movie is about Jack when he discovers Christmas and Santa Claus and that whole thing and how he wants to do that. Instead of scaring children, he wants to bring presents and do that. He wants to create Christmas in Halloween Town.
Yeah.
So
I mean, for the fans listening, let us know in the comments if you agree with Adam. If you disagree, let us know.
There
will be interesting to see.
Yeah. All right. So back to what this show is about. All right. So this is for season 1, episode 4, Amy and Dr. Everett of Tales of the Walking Dead. Oh man, more and more this show, before I get too far into it, more and more this just feels like Tales from the Dark Side type of thing. Outer Limits. It's just random stuff. That's all this is. There's no connection. We're not supposed to have any connection. We'll bring it up during the episode of some of the dates that they provided in this that just don't tie in with the timeline of what we know from Walking Dead proper. But before we get into that real quick, because I'm going to sidetrack on this, thanks again, everybody, for all the subs and the follows over on Spotify and iTunes and YouTube. We don't hound you over it. A lot of people like, oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe, blah, 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 blah. And we get it. It's a brainwashing thing. It's one of the impulses. For real, it's been proven is that people just used to hearing it and then doing it. And it's true because then you'll see certain people, certain channels that have a ridiculous amount of subs, which is great. But then when you look at the views for their videos, they're very low. It's because people were just so used to just clicking it, even if it was a one-time thing, and then moved on. I was like, oh, whatever. And that's not what we want. It's like if you're here because you like the content, you want to hear about it, you're into The Walking Dead. That's it. We don't want a bunch of people like, well, there was this one thing I clicked. No. If you like Walking Dead, then you know that you can tune in, and that's what we're going to be talking about. That's what we cover. Tales, Walking Dead proper, all the spin-offs, and we'll talk about one of them that just got a rebranding for a new name. And so that's it, people. So if you like it, go ahead, sub, follow, do all that jazz. If not, whatever, it's cool, but go ahead and check out the Koalition, because over at our site we do a lot of work. We got game reviews and interviews and for movies and shows and all kinds of stuff over there. So that's with a K, Koalition.com. If you go over to see, you're going to find some Gears of War stuff, which is also a great game. Love that game. All right, so that's pretty much it for the housekeeping. And before I went off, Isle of the Dead, which is the Negan and Maggie. What's it called now?
Dead City.
Dead City. Okay. Now, I was hyped when we first heard about this. For those who don't know, this is going to be a spin-off with Negan and Maggie that go on their own adventure without Herschel. Hopefully we'll find out what's going on with Herschel. But besides that, they're going to be in New York, right? I don't think the location's changed. I think they're still going to go in New York. We don't know why they're going to go. Yeah, maybe who knows? Maybe it's the hunt for Herschel. I'm not sure, but anyway, they end up in New York. It was called Isle of the Dead. It was going to be those two, and they were going to have the running walkers. So if you didn't watch World Beyond, at the end we find out in France, a doctor had figured out that these walkers were mutating. They were turning faster. They were still a little mentally aware of their surroundings and how to function, and they were runners. Just think like 28 days later. And we see that at the end of World Beyond, the last episode, last scene. Doctor turns, runs straight to the door, and starts pulling on the door handle. Boom. Okay. So anyway, we're supposed to see some of that. So we can scratch the walking and the running dead. So I'm looking. There you go. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, it's got that name change. But then the other downside of this, Rich, is when we saw the announcement that Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who plays Negan, is going to be part of The Boys, right? That's for next season. Now, it doesn't mean he can't do both. Who knows? Maybe they're filming the island. Oh, man, I already blanked on the name. City, what? Dead City?
Dead,
right?
Dead City. Yep.
Dead City. Maybe they already filmed that, or they're filming it now, and then he's done. Who knows? Don't know. I don't know if this is a one-off with this side story, or if this is an attempt to create a new spinoff like we got Fear. Not sure, but we do know he did sign up with The Boys, and it seems like he's going to be the whole season. So it could be nothing. Maybe he just pops up as a character and he gets killed off. First one and done season. But it's concerning because I do like Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan and the role he plays. He seems to enjoy the character. So
let me just make a quick comment here. The Dead City show is going to start with 6 episodes, so I don't think it will be too much of a conflict. I mean, obviously, I don't think we know yet the extent of who he's playing in The Boys, but I don't know if he's going to be there for the entire season. He may only be there for season 4, so we have to wait and see. But go ahead, Carlos. What was you going to say?
Also, something to take into account. These shows. I mean, it might be 6 episodes, but there will be the Maggie only episode. So you're guaranteed that Jeffrey Dean Morgan is probably only going to be in like at least 5.
We'll see. I'm really curious to see how they produce the whole city environment. We've seen a little bit of that in the earlier seasons. In fact, it was just season 1 when they were in Atlanta for Walking Dead Mothership. But I don't know. Yeah, go.
I just want to add that I'm curious to see how you explain why these two people are working together, and what you said, Adam, about maybe Herschel is missing. Perhaps that's the reason why they're together, because right now they are forced to work together for survival. So why does it continue past that into this other show? They have to explain that by the end of this.
That's the only connection I can think of.
It all depends on how The Walking Dead proper ends, what ramifications happen because of whatever happens at the end. The results is going to lead to different branches. We already have all these spinoffs. We have the Daryl and someone other than Carol show. We have this City Dead one, or Dead City one. Because we also have to take into account Negan is going to be a dad, apparently.
Yeah. So that's it.
He is.
Maybe something happens with his wife and the child. Maybe she ends up missing, and Maggie decides she wants to go help. I don't see why she would, unless she says, "Well, you helped me with Herschel during that situation, so I'm there for you now. So let's go toward the East Coast. Let's do this."
I mean, obviously, I don't know what's going to happen, but I just want to say, I don't have a positive feeling that she is going to actually survive the last couple of episodes of this season. So we'll have to see what happens with Negan's wife, because that feels like it's a situation is doomed.
And who knows? Maybe there are other cast members. They're just not main cast members that'll accompany them. So we know it as Negan and Maggie, but they could be the whole crew. I mean, you got to kill some people off, right?
And her character, her character has been set up as sort of a too good to be true character. It's like she seems like the nicest person. She, she's a good leader to the people that are within that compound, and she somehow made Negan a decent person. So That might be a dead giveaway for death flags for that character, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, we'll see what happens then. So that's it for that Walking Dead news and updates. So now let's just jump into this episode. Let's just get this out the way, all right. So if you haven't seen this episode, go ahead. You can watch on AMC Plus. It is up now. If you don't want to watch right now, then you can hold off because we will spoil this. We're going to give a whole full review and discussion on it, and it'll air on AMC proper Sunday. All right, so 3, 2, 1, boop. This was an interesting episode because it was like a different take. Right. So far, they've all been different takes, but this one was a little more plausible. It's like, oh yeah, I could sort of see this, but the time frame, like there's one mention. I don't know if you caught it. So this is Amy and Dr. Everett at some point, and it happens later on in the episode, which should have happened at the beginning. He says this is 7 years after the fall. So 7 years. That means they built this huge trench. He says it goes for miles. It's super deep, and this is where they've been funneling all the walkers. Who are they? They don't really. He doesn't really go into it. He just says that this is how things have been within 7 years. They're all in there. There's wildlife and stuff, and he is a doctor who's observing them. He's trying to figure out their behavior. No different than most of these other, doctor scientists that are trying. What you see on Net Geo, tracking gazelles and stuff like that. Well, he's doing that for the Homo mortis, right? The Homo mortis.
Would you be saying that the lore of this episode might be something that AMC could be setting up for another episode?
I don't know, maybe, but it doesn't go anywhere, and that's where this seemed like. We'll get into it, but it seemed like it's an open and shut case from the beginning into the way it even ended.
Yeah,
right, Rich.
So I mean, I don't know if you're already to the initial impressions, but I just want to say right now, this episode feels to me like AMC has someone who likes National Geographic, and they had them offer their creative take on how this would be in this particular universe. And that's what it felt like for the entire episode, even when it wasn't in that scenario, because of the doctor and his obsession with studying his old friends, etc.
Yeah, and we'll just get into that. So we find out, and it's just the way he tells the story back and forth. So, but it just in whole, if we just streamline it, just make some understanding of what's going on here, is that he was part of a group, and they were studying. They were in the deck sector, and they were studying the behavior of these walkers, and they all had numbers and stuff. And then he sort of gets into it. Some of them would call out or they were more sensitive to hearing certain sounds and respond, and the rest of the horde would follow. Long story short, almost everybody in his group died from there, and he decided to stay there and continue the research. Right. So we see that he's been living and what's it called? It's a tower. It's the watchtower, but it's for like what you would see at Yosemite, a park ranger. That's a ranger tower.
Yeah,
that's where he's been living. And when he found that ranger tower, it was one of the members of his team. I guess they were attacked at some point. It doesn't go too much into it, but that's where one of them was living. And he noticed that he was deteriorating. He was getting weaker and stuff. Turns out he had cancer. He died. Right. So he labeled him Specimen 21. So right at the beginning of that episode, when we start hearing about these different numbers of him, you see that Dr. Everett's been tracking Specimen 21. He follows them around. He sees where they're going, what they're eating. He says that he seems to like to share. And this is all in his notes. This is the stuff just talking to himself. He has a little recorder. And it's then like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. And eventually, while Dr. Everett is up on his watchtower looking down, you see that there's a woman screaming for help. And that's Amy, the character there. What was it? Her name is, I wrote it down here.
Her real name or the character name?
Well, the real name of Dr. Everett is Anthony Edwards. He's played in everything. I mean, this dude has been Top Gun, all kinds of stuff. And her name is Poppy Lou. That is a fun name. Right? And it says her credits was Better Call Saul. She was Joe in Better Call Saul. I don't remember that, but hey, that's a credit. That's fine. She was funny. She was an interesting character, and so she's screaming for help. We see that Dr. Everett has a drone. He sends the drone over. It's like luring them away, and she gets into an altercation with 21. So then when she is pretty much, she thinks she's rescued, that he was helping her. We find out it's not that he's helping her. He was helping to avoid conflict between her and Specimen 21. He doesn't want anything bad to happen to 21. And he knew she was attacking and stuff. She was fending for herself. And he was more concerned about that specimen. And we know this because then she was like, well, can I go with you? And it's like, no. I don't get along with the humans anymore. I got my own thing to do. Just go find your group, wherever you're from. And she lost her group. She was turned around. And she knows it's the dead sector. This is the thing that confused me with this. She's telling him throughout it, and it was very chatty. This whole episode, a lot of talking, a lot of back and forth, and some of it made sense and applied to long-term storytelling of The Walking Dead, and some didn't. But this sort of threw me off because she's telling him, she's asking, why are you here? What's your point in a dead sector? But then at the same time, in the next scene, she'll talk about how she got turned around. She doesn't know where she is in a dead sector. So why are you there? That I understand. And she says, oh, well, we were getting help from the hunter groups, right?
The decapitating people.
The skull hunters. I think they were something like that. And that they were collecting skulls. Don't understand that. Yeah, skull hunters. I don't know their story, why we don't see them. It's just something that she mentions. And that they were helping her group get through, and then something happened. She didn't even say they got attacked. She just got turned around, got lost. So at first I was thinking this was a trap. I was like, oh, maybe something shady going on here. But anyway, he leaves her. She eventually sees that where the watchtower is. She finds her way over there. She was very resourceful. I thought that was pretty cool, where she takes a knife. So she's got walkers coming after her. She sticks it into the tower area, and she uses that as a stepping stool to get to the ladder that he would pull up and down. And then she climbs up, and then she was like, oh, if you don't let me in, I'm going to die here. My stomach's killing me. I don't know what's wrong. I'm just going to turn. So if I bite you, just know I apologize in advance. He lets her in. She passes out. Eventually, I was thinking maybe she was pregnant. That's what I was thinking. Because remember, he was at the beginning scene. We see that he's talking about how evolution and things change, and animals and all the animals that aren't being hunted are now populating and overpopulating, and all this stuff that's going on. So I'm like, oh, this only makes sense now. You're gonna have a human doing it. No, turns out she's been eating bad berries. When they showed a quick scene of her trying to scavenge, and we see her eating something. Well, there you go. She's been eating bad berries, and she's been getting sick from it. So he made some little. Some drink for her to resolve her stomach ailments, and she's gonna be fine. But he wants her to leave, and she's like, no. I want to help. I want to get involved. And she was part of a group, and they were they were at a school or something, and she found a bunch of books, and she was studying birds and all this stuff. And can I stay? And she saw the board, and the board had all the markings. And this is where I'll ask you guys when you saw this part. You see, he has all these markings, and all of them have different numbers and stuff. And then Specimen 21, there's a lot of those. And she starts asking about, well, you have some kind of connection. And he blew it off. I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? At that point that there was a connection. But did you think it was going to be a doctor or someone? Or did you think, I thought it was a brother, or a best friend or a lover or something?
I thought it was either a relative or a lover or something.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I personally think if it was a relative, it would have been a better connection as opposed to just a colleague he was working with.
Well, unless their intention was like the inflection is that they were romantically connected somehow.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
that would have worked too. That would have worked.
Yeah, but the show didn't make any obvious signs of that. So. But yeah, you're right. If it was just a straight up relative, then we wouldn't have to make that connection to make it seem like, oh, that's why he's so, obsessed about this particular specimen. What are they called? The
specimen
Homo mortis.
Yeah, Homo mortis.
Homo mortis.
That's what he called it. He coined it. He's a Homo mortis. I'm like, yeah, let's stick with that. We've seen two. There was that one, and then the one in previous episode, the toe tags. I like that one too. I was like, oh, the toe tags. Like, all right, we're getting creative with these names. So I like the Homo mortis. That was fun. So she says she can help him find, because during that whole altercation stuff, he 21 specimen 21 is no longer part of the herd area, so he doesn't know where he is. But she says she does. She knows where he is. She was watching him. She knows exactly where she is. So if they can work together, meaning that she'll help find specimen 21, and then he helps her rejoin the group. Now, I don't understand that. How is he going to help with the group? He doesn't leave that area. Did that make any sense?
Well, he's, he knows how to walk within the walkers without putting their faces on. He apparently has tablets and drones, and
he had a good generator or something to keep all his text running. So,
and that didn't make any noise.
Mm-hmm.
And he had full screen TVs, monitor, wireless wireless cameras. He had the whole works.
He had everything, and I get it. All right, so maybe the Ranger had some of that stuff, but don't tell me that was all up there in that tower. And no, all right, keep going.
No, I think her intent was that she was trying to get him around other people, since he made it clear that he's not a people person anymore. I guess she thought she could change and give him a purpose, but clearly he did not really care about people. He only cared about the subjects.
Yeah, and then we find that out again when I was saying with the chatty thing, because that was a pretty long section of just talking back and forth when they were doing their walk and just breaking it down, where she was like, yeah, you haven't been around a lot of people, and that's where he gave the story about the group. And then he said 7 years, been doing this 7 years since the fall. And I'm like, all right, since the fall, 7 years, this group, where are we? That they built this trench, because she kept saying, she's like, have you seen what's out there? Everything has gone horrible. It's gone worse. But yet you still want him to join your group. And he even says it. He was like, it doesn't make any sense. You just said how bad it is. Well, we're not that bad. And I kept thinking this is a setup, that they knew he was out there and maybe they're cannibals and they needed food just like everything else.
You always mention I think you want the cannibals to return.
We've only had that one season where they were and they had the barbecue. That was awesome, to see all that. Oh man, I missed that. And remember the piles of bones, and that was great. That was when it was ruthless. Oh man. Yeah. And they were doing when they were cutting the throats, everybody over and draining their blood in that pig pen area. Oh, that was nuts. What was that, season 3?
Season 3, something like that. After the Sophia.
Yeah. Because then they got caught and they were put into that freight train truck area there.
But yeah, I guess with the character, I was just thinking, oh well, she sees, because at the beginning I'm just trying to figure out, does she have good intentions? Like, does she want to like steal his resources or kill the guy? Maybe someone from her camp knows him, or I don't know. I was just trying to find an angle where it's like, maybe she's trying to get him. But then I'm like, nah. Like after a couple of scenes, I just thought, nah, it seems like it's just a regular person that's trying to get, like, to me, that's how it seemed. Mm-hmm. So, and the reason why she wanted the doctor to go with her is because she saw that he was losing his humanity and felt like, it's something that he needed.
Because he was alone at that point for 2 years, he said. Mm-hmm. That they spent 5 years he had these people, and then everybody died, and he felt it was his obligation to continue on the study. Because she said, what's the point of this? And he said, well, just to have it, just in case. Later on, we got to figure things out. And she's like, there's nothing. She called them chompers. That was the other thing. She's like, there's nothing to figure out. They go, they bite you, and they move on. He's like, no, that's not how it works. Specimen 21 was special. He was sharing his meals. He would take a few bites and move on. It's like, well, maybe he saw another fresh meal. It's like, no. There was nothing else. He was purposely doing this. And I was like, I don't know. And they don't really get a chance to go into it anymore, because then we see that we hear some screams, and sure enough, it's specimen 21 attacking one of her friends from the group. And this is the funniest part, and this is what they showed in the trailer, where she goes to run and he grabs her. Get down. He's like, let nature take its course. Yeah. Really? This is how you're seeing it? Just like a Net Geo. Here we go, Animal Planet and all that. It's like, just sit back and watch. as the predator reaches out for its prey. And then, you know, it's like, come on now. She was like, no, I got to save my friend. And he covers her mouth and she bites it, but it's too late. You know, so the friend.
Here's the thing about that scene. I didn't get that the lady that was being attacked. I didn't get that I didn't see the part where she died. Did you guys see that?
She got bit. And that was the other thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was a quick cut to commercial. And then when it came back, you see somebody getting killed. So it's like they made sure that you shouldn't care about that person at all that got eaten.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, did I just like turn away for a second and just missed it? Because she was being attacked. Subject 21, she knocked Subject 21 down the hill, and I just see him doing a beeline to Subject 21 because he's rolling in the water, and I never saw when the lady actually died.
Well, she died. That's the other thing. She didn't turn because I was expecting her to get up and turn and the whole thing, and she did not. Because I guess they were just trying to just get to the main point of it, which is, like you said, the beeline for when 21 went rolling down the embankment there into the lake. And so he just Everett freaked out and went running, and he was more concerned about Specimen 21. And she was screaming. She was like, "I don't believe that you care more about this guy, this dead walker topper than my friend." All right, keep on.
So I don't want to interrupt, but I just want to say right now, I really don't like this Dr. Everett character. I mean, as a viewer, we already knew from the beginning of the episode what his motive was, because she was getting attacked at the beginning of the episode. This guy's sitting here eating a snack, watching her trying to fight, defend for herself. So I mean, if they wanted us to care about that character, it failed for me. I do not like that character at all.
Yeah, I wanted him to get eaten by the gator.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. Is a gator going to attack something that's rotten? Because that's the thing. It's a rotted body at this point. It's not fresh meat. I don't know. I don't know much about gators, but it just was weird. It makes cool. It's like a cool scene to see that the gator attacked the body. Because just before we jump ahead, he was just Dr. Everett was taking a little lasso and trying to like lasso and pull in 21, and the gator grabs the leg and pulls him down. And there goes that. It's not happening. You can't get him. And he starts freaking out over this whole thing.
Well, I knew that eventually he was going to lose Subject 21, as you said, whatever the hell his name is. Yeah. I knew that was going to happen because the entire episode was foreshadowing of what would happen to him if he did lose this subject. So I kind of feel like that was going to happen. But I do question, as you said, the alligator, because I thought they only wanted fresh meat, but I'm not no National Geographic expert. So I have no idea.
Yeah, maybe they don't care. They'll attack anything that's moving in the water. You know? But as she gets upset, she was like, "You know what? I'm done with this." And he tried to recruit her too. He's like, "Oh, you could work together with me. You're smart. We can figure this thing out." At this point, he was like, "Yeah, I'm all in. Let's work together." She's like, "No, not too late. I don't want to deal with this shit. I'm leaving. I'll find them. I'll find my group." Because it's another thing that I guess the friend also got lost from the group. So not sure what happened. And before I even forget, we did see there was traps set up, and there was dead ones with missing heads, and it was because of the skull hunters. And she said that they had to work with the skull hunters to get passage. So I thought, we're definitely going to see these guys. This is like the third, fourth time they've mentioned them.
Well, that's where I mentioned, it's like it seems like they're setting up something for maybe a potential next episode. It's all these episodes, man. They're just bringing up different things where it's like, they don't. Oh, go ahead, Rich.
Oh no, go ahead. I'll go after you.
Oh no, I was just saying, like they're opening up all these things, and it's like, maybe we can make a next episode for this storyline.
So, yeah, I think that this entire series is a test to see what people enjoy so that they can think about revisiting some of this stuff in the spinoffs that are coming in the future, which means you can see these other characters have guest appearances in some of the other shows.
Maybe, that's true. Maybe some of them will come across or pop up in some of the other ones.
By the way,
who's to say that some of these guys don't pop up in Fear? All right, keep going.
Don't and before I forget, don't when I first saw the dude, the Anthony Edwards character, Dr. Everett, when I first saw him, don't think I didn't think about Norman Reedus' character on Death Stranding, because he kind of looked like a similar type of dude.
Yeah, with the backpack and all that.
Yeah, the big backpack and the So, but yeah, I will say this before, I didn't give my initial thoughts of the episode, so I'll kind of give my
yeah, we're getting there. We'll get there, in fact, right now, because she walks off. She's like, I'm gonna find my people, I'm out. And then he just goes back to the watchtower there. Like, that's it, all right, fine, whatever. And we see that she's out there and she's fighting some walkers, right? They start attacking her, and then it's over some narration. He's having his own little discussion within his head, trying to figure things out, and then just determining, you know what, he lost that specimen. Maybe it is time to move on. He grabs some supplies. He leaves. He starts following the tracks to see if he can find her. Well, he does. She's turned. He was too late. And that was it. He puts her up against the wall. He's like, and he tags her. He was like, well, you're going to be my next specimen. I was going to abandon all this, but not anymore. Now I got a new one to follow because you were smart. Go ahead.
Also, don't forget that he saw a whole bunch of skulls, which I don't know what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
Does it mean that they were those skull hunters, or does it mean that they got in a fight with the skull hunters? It's like,
that's why it was open-ended, because I was thinking then at that point when I saw that maybe these skull hunters, we don't know much about them, but maybe, I know you're going to say, what the hell again with this? Maybe they are cannibals. And they were like, go ahead. Yeah. Go on through. Well, look out for you. And then they attack them and they eat them and they just collect the skulls because they have to have, maybe that's what happened.
Well, that certainly seems possible, I guess. But this is what I want to do here. I want to hear Carlos initial impressions, because after he goes, I got something to say about this episode. So go ahead, Carlos.
So I do want to mention this is the second best episode of the season, which is not saying much. But the concept of this episode and what they were trying to do, I felt like was really good. I like the concept of the isolationist doctor studying everything and being closed from humanity and meeting up with someone else. All that stuff, and the way that they were getting to know each other was really good. But I felt like a lot of the execution was done really poorly. It was really slow paced. A lot of the stuff just took too long to develop. Some of the decisions in terms of Rich mentioned this earlier when he started eating. When I'm like, because he's messing with his tablet and his drone and he's eating and he's it just, I don't know. But overall, I felt like this was a subpar episode. I just really I do appreciate the actual concept of what this episode was supposed to do. I just felt like it didn't really do it that well. It does not work well as a standalone episode, because it opens up a lot of threads and a lot of loose ends where it's like you're just thinking about all the stuff that they mentioned that wasn't wrapped up. Like, what the hell happened to her camp to get there in the first place? Why did they need the skull hunters / cannibals to get to where they needed to get? Where are they going? Why is the outside world so bad? She didn't even tell him why the outside world is so bad. It just said, trust me, it's horrible. We didn't, the part where they open up, he opens up the truck in that settlement after they got run over. He sees the skulls. So were they, like I mentioned before, were they the skull people? I don't know. And yeah, and it's like and the relationship between the doctor and I guess his boss or whatever he was, we still don't know what the hell happened between. Because why was he so attached? He had a bunch of coworkers. Why was he so attached just to this one? Was it because he had cancer?
I think because that one, that was the only one that was still around. Because it sounds like when they got attacked and everything went down, he went running off, and that's when he found that watchtower. And then the dude was hiding up in there, and then they were friends and they were together, and the rest is history. So he was the only other person, the last person that he had contact with.
Well, I mean, and yeah, that's decent, but still, it irked me when he did the whole let nature take its course.
Yeah,
that was just dumb, because why was he going with her in the first place? Then it's like we're going to do something. But somehow, whenever you see someone fighting one of the walkers, I'm just going to...
Well, it was this one. It was 21. I think if it was maybe a regular one, he would have said, fine, let's help. But he didn't want to hurt 21. He wanted to keep that one going.
I would like to challenge that statement you just said. I think if it was a regular walker, he still would not have helped, because he wanted to see, can she truly survive this this attack? Yes.
And also, there's always, these episodes, there's always conveniences, there's always plot armors, there's always all this stuff. And a couple of things. The fact that what was her name? The main Ava?
Amy.
The fact that Amy just kept falling down, like all the fucking time, just kept falling down. I'm like, all right, that's enough of that trope.
Oh, remember, because these are Walking Dead. They're not running, and they got to figure something out. You have to be clumsy.
And the second thing is this subject 21. He just keeps fighting all the characters.
Yeah,
apparently.
Yeah. He definitely was a smart one. Dr. Everett was right. He could sniff them out. And he found his friend out in the dead sector there. Nobody else found it, and he left the herd, because that was the other thing. Remember, they're like, he's not part of the herd. That's how he got lost. So who knows? Maybe he was more aware.
So let me just make a quick comment. Well, first and foremost, Carlos, I agree with a lot of things that you brought up. My initial impression of this episode, I still think episode 2 is the worst episode in this series.
Oh yeah.
I think this episode, I had a lot of issues with this episode, and it made me honestly, after I watched this episode, I said, man, I can't wait until the regular Walking Dead show comes back, because I kind of feel like I saw what they were doing. You could see from a mile away, from a storytelling standpoint, that eventually she probably was going to end up becoming his next test subject, but they dragged it on to the very end. And I saw that because literally I just watched the episode of American Horror Stories where they had a similar path, where there was a character that ended up becoming, pretty much a part of the next test subject type of situation. So that's why I said I saw that coming from a mile away. And as far as what I think the issues with the episode is, that what they did do, which is familiar for those who have watched The Walking Dead, is you had this whole storyline of people, they're having a hard time forgetting about someone that died. And even when the person is dead, you still think that's the same person. So you still don't want nothing bad to happen to them, which I thought was good. And the fact that they also killed Amy, I thought that was good also. But the issue is, as y'all said, they introduced all these other ideas of other things we have no context or explanation about. And they have it open-ended where, what were these people? What were their goal? A lot of that stuff was unanswered. So that's why I had an issue with the other stuff they did in this episode.
And Rich, you mentioned you understand that the doctor, is still has past feelings for the subject 21. And I'm like, well, does he? I mean, well, story-wise, it doesn't make sense, because he even named them a different species.
Yeah.
Homo. Was it a
Homo mortis?
Mortis. He said they're Homo mortis, not even Homo sapiens anymore. So how can he even have he, better than most people that are still alive, understands that this person is not who he used to be.
No, he knows that, but he feels that he was definitely special, that maybe something still carried over. And he had broke it down early on from certain other ones. There was one, remember, with the smell or the sense of hearing, and then there was another one that was always a leader of a pack, and for some reason they all followed.
But the
It was
attachment was that it was
his
someone that
friend
he knew.
who was smart.
Mhm.
And he wanted to see it from what he saw from the sharing and all that. It looked like some of that carried over. And that's the other reason why he tagged Amy, because he kept saying that she was smart. And so it was like, wow, he could tag any of those other walkers that were around, but no.
She just named a bird, man. That's all.
She named the bird, and knowing more about
he still needed another day or two to figure out how smart she was.
I don't know, but that was his whole reasoning of it. So yeah, like you guys mentioned, there's a lot of open-ended strands here. What's going on with the Skull Hunters? Why bring that up if you're never going to show them? You didn't have to. You could have just said, hey, we just wandered off in here thinking we could find a shortcut to get through the dead sector and we got lost. That would have been fine. But no, they bring it up. So maybe they have plans, if not for this show, to continue this on, or maybe to just pop up on another show. I think it's too late to introduce new factions and new groups and stuff like that to Walking Dead proper, because that's coming to a close. But some of these could pop up in Fear the Walking Dead, which is still going. It was going new locations, and who knows, maybe Morgan over there finds out. It's like, hey, what's going on here? Oh, well, we're the Skull Hunters. Oh, if you watch Tales, then you know who these people are. If you didn't, whatever, they're new to you.
Mhm.
It could be some kind of situation. Maybe that's what they're going to do. They're creating their own little, oh, you're in the know nod because you watched this side series that we created, and so this is for you guys. Maybe we will see some of the other members part of that group, because they said they're going to have new cast members every season. They add one or two new pieces, and we've seen some serious pieces leave the show. So it's possible. Remember, now they're going to that new location, which I still think it's a ship. I think that's where the base is. Well, and go ahead.
Well, I just want to add one thing. If in fact any of these cast members do make it to Fear the Walking Dead or any of the spinoffs, I guarantee we will know about it long before it happens. Because AMC likes to announce everything early. So
they can't keep any secrets. Oh man, these people. That's why I find it funny when they crack down on our site and other sites. Oh, don't tell people stuff. You're doing it. You are doing it. Think about it. We are covering an episode that hasn't aired yet, but it's available on AMC Plus. Yep. They have released it. This is not the screeners. Oh, you guys got the screen. Yeah, they send them out, but we're not doing that. We're doing it the way that they intended, and it's their own fault. So if they get upset that people are talking about, stop releasing it a week early. Yep. Stop doing it. And then when they're like, oh, I don't understand why some of the ratings are going down. This is it. Well, you're spilling the beans on all the characters of what show they're going to be on, what they're not going to be part of. Announcing the Daryl and Carol spinoff. Then I was like, oh, I guess they both go to survive. There we go. They got a spinoff. Yeah, of course, now we know that she's the actress. Oh, man, McBride, she's not going to be part of that spinoff because it's going to take place in Europe. She doesn't want to travel. It's no ill will. She just doesn't want to go to Europe. I get it. So there goes that. But they'll do something else. But anyway, it's just they got to just keep things tight-lipped. I get it. You're trying to build the hype and you want to get the buzz out there, but you're killing the current product, which is coming to a close because we want the surprises. And if you start spilling the beans of this one has a show, this one has a show, there's going to be another spinoff. Oh, this one's popping up on the. All right, so then someone can do the math. I was like, oh, well, it sounds like almost everybody's going to make it out of this. Oh. And people like, oh, well, what's wrong with that? Well, what's wrong with that is that that's not what The Walking Dead's about. The comic wasn't about that, and the show in the earlier seasons was not about that. We would see people just pass away randomly. Like, man, I didn't see that coming. There was no prep. There was no like, oh, this is a build-up. This is going to happen. Nope, it would just happen. We'd just see it. Whatever. So overall, yeah, I'll agree with this. Out of the four that we've seen, this is the second best. It's not saying much, but it is what it is. This is their Tales from the Crypt type of deal, you know, some weird stories. But the episode 2 was just beyond just weird. That was in fantasy realm with the whole
No
ground.
pun intended.
Yeah, that was a mess. That was a mess.
I do want to mention I did not appreciate the monologue at the end. You know, the monologue he made when he was talking, like that's saved for like Batman.
Yeah.
It's something badass has to happen for you to get that speech.
Yeah.
And I just feel like you didn't earn it.
He was just rambling and all things. It's like whatever. I have a feeling we could see him again because we know where he is.
Well, it's like he's trying to lecture people. And it's like you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're the human race. You're the guys that messed all this stuff up. And this is it.
Hey, listen, I'll be all for him returning if he is somebody that eventually has to get killed off the show as the bad guy. Then I'm okay with that. So we'll see what happens.
The Walking Dead proper needs to kill off characters, and they're not going to kill off the main ones. So
I don't think they said what state they were in for this big trench that was created. Did they say?
No.
I don't
recall seeing it. I don't recall seeing any mention of it.
No, it was just a big trench. He said it goes on for hundreds of miles. It's super deep, and this is where they were all funneled in. But then there's also a lot of just natural animals that's everywhere. And I remember there was that one scene where they would do these weird cuts, and it would just show like gazelles and other things just running wild. And he was like, "Oh,
National Geographic."
Yeah, National Geographic. She was like, "What's going on? Why are there so many?" It's because there's no humans here. They're not being hunted on that level.
Well, I was expecting David Attenborough to start talking. I was like, "These are the majestic hens."
Yeah, I don't know, but I get it. They're just showing like these are like what ifs, and this is what some people are doing. And okay, but what gets me is this whole big trench. They didn't have to say it that way. They could have just said there's some forest area that he was living in, right? Why is there a watchtower in the trench? That's the other thing I didn't get. I was like, so there was people watching them. I don't know. But it's 7 years. And if you think of Walking Dead universe 7 years, that means that the crew from Walking Dead, they're still dealing with a lot. And year 7, I think that was still coming across Negan and dealing with all of that. Mm-hmm. So where was all this taking place that they've already figured out a way of like, all right, we're going to control the situation. We're going to build this huge trench for miles and we should be fine. But then Amy said everything, like the poop hit the fan with the human race up top. So if it's that bad, how did they get along to the point that they can build such a trench? Who cared? You know, is there still a government that was in control of that? Was that their idea? I don't know. It leaves a lot of holes. And it was a lot of that dialogue that wasn't needed if they're not going to further the storylines. Mm-hmm. They could have easily just said, it's in the forest somewhere. Throw up some random name. It could be Yellowstone, you know, maybe a national park, and that'll explain why he's in the watchtower and just watching and seeing all these walkers come around. Well, who are they? Oh, these are campgoers, or these are people that came out here to get away from the city area because they were trying to stay safe. But you know, people die, and then they turned, and not a lot of people knew that's how it was happening. They thought it was airborne contaminant. No, it didn't matter. You were gonna turn once you die. There's other ways they could have gone about, but they didn't do that. They left a lot of open-ended story. And it sucks. It sucks because now we have more questions, and I don't think they'll ever be answered. So with that said, well, we'll just leave it at that, and we'll be back for season 1, episode 5, which is the next one coming up. And there's only 6, folks. There's only 6.
Is that the one with Coltrane?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. He's a good actor, so
that should be interesting. Hopefully,
yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Hopefully it's good. I mean, it could only get better, right? So far, they've been getting up. D was pretty good. This one wasn't so bad, just besides some of the story aspect of it. And we'll see. But you know what? It doesn't even matter at this point. It's like I'm just watching it, but I don't have any high expectations for this series. I mean, we didn't even when we first heard about it. I'm like, all right, this sounds like it's gonna be like weird side story stuff, and that's what we got. not necessarily good sized stories either. I just thought it was going to be more character or backstory development for the ones that we did know that passed. Yeah, so who knows? I'm still thinking that we would get one for Jebediah, the hunter from Fear the Walking Dead, the bounty hunter's twin brother. Right? Because
I don't know. I don't know if that actor is even still on Fear the Fear show.
He is. He popped up right at the end. Remember when they were all getting together after the tower fell apart? He just shows up. He shows up. Wherever he went to go do, he did. Because remember, he was like, I have to go find myself or do something. I was like, yeah, there's radiation everywhere. Really? Where are you going? Where are you going, buddy? This tells me in the wrestling world, creative has nothing for you. Is that what's going on? You're going to catering? You'll be back?
Yes.
We have something for you. Oh, you're back now. Okay, so I guess you're going to be part of this story. So, yeah, it'd be cool if they had a backstory for him or even just his brother. How do you become a bounty hunter in this world? You know what I mean? Where's the job postings? Where are you going? That to me, that would be interesting, but it doesn't look like we're getting that. So
yeah. The last thing I will say is about what you just said. I think a storyline to explain where that brother was at when he said he needed to take a break, that would have been a great story for this show.
I thought he was going to get his own episode of Fear when he said that. I was like, oh, we're going to get one of those. Because remember, Walking Dead used to do that. They would just get one episode dedicated to a cast member and do a little backstory and all that jazz. No, we didn't get that for this guy. Maybe we'll get it next season because it looks like he's part of them. He's on the raft going to wherever they're going. So, whatever. 2 more episodes, people. 2 more episodes, 5 and 6 of this. So thanks again for tuning in and following us and subbing iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. And, of course, just checking out the Koalition website and all that. That was good. All right, people. So have a good week and look at the flowers.